The world has lost half of its wild animals in the past 40 years, according to the World Wildlife Fund. At this rate, the remaining species may become extinct if nothing is done, and in good time.
The mountain bongo is critically endangered, and it's only found in Kenya, with less than 100 individuals existing in their natural habitat.
When we take care of the forest, we are taking care of their habitat, and we are also sustaining the community livelihoods that are achieved through the forest.
Join me, Purity Museo, this Monday and Tuesday at 9 p.m. as we explore how species unique to Kenya are fast disappearing and what efforts are in place to save the situation.
He served as the country's last vice president in the Moi era, as deputy prime minister during President Kibaki's first term, but out of government throughout President Uhuru Kenyatta's reign. Now, ahead of 2022 general election, his eyes are on the jackpot. What is his driving force, his guiding principle, his philosophy? Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi on The Perspective this Monday, only on KBC Prime Edition.
Good afternoon. Thank you for keeping it KBC Channel 1. This is the Lunchtime News. A very warm welcome to this live broadcast. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. On sign language interpretation is Anne Wangeshi. Now, the government has extended the time limit for the Interfaith Council up to December 31st, 2021, confirming the move. Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, said the religious leaders have been key players in the fight against COVID-19 disease. This as religious leaders in the red-zoned counties have been urged to be patient as the government further engages the Interfaith Council. Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Mercy Mwagangi, said the situation in the 13 counties remains critical and they are currently focused on managing the spread of the new variants.
Extending the life of the IFC until 31st of December 2021, so that we can continue this collaboration as we work together. And we believe that we are going to, in a much more institutionalized manner, both ourselves at the Ministry of Interior and our colleagues at the Ministry of Health, we have developed a much more institutionalized way of now working more directly with the IFC as we go forward.
We ask our religious leaders patiently to continue following these measures that have been given as we look into what we are able to accommodate. And as we all know, there is always the line of the live streaming which continues in this time with the 15 that we've always had accepted in that live streaming. And in this context, with very in the times we are trying to still reach with creative ways all our congregants.
And one key thing of concern for us is the Delta virus. And so what we're doing in the 13 counties is that we've mounted a key surveillance response that is focusing on genomic sequencing. We have our labs there, particularly the KEMRI lab, that is picking samples so that we can establish the number of Delta virus cases that may be there. And what is of concern and of importance, and particularly to those who reside in those 13 counties, is that we have been able to pick out cases of the Delta virus, and it is important for us to ensure that we really adhere to these measures because we want to prevent community transmission.
A section of the clergy and women leadership advocates are calling on Kenyans to be cautious about politicians who are out to mislead citizens. Gitonga Runo, the secretary of the African General Independent Pentecostal Church of Kenya, and Dr. Wanjiku Ndungu, an advocate of women leadership, urged Kenyans to be objective while engaging with political leaders so that they make informed choices. They made the remarks in Limuru, Kiambu County, during the homecoming of Bishop Paul Njenga of African Independent Pentecostal Church of Kenya.
Tushikilie rais, tuache kumpiga, na kama kanisa letu hatupigagi sele. That is the constitution. We support the government of the day. Na tukiomba wale wengine wako ndani kama hiyo, tugojee wakati ukifika, umuulize maendeleo umefanya mpaka wapi, na itajidhihirisha mwenyewe.
Na ndivyo tunauliza tupate waongozi wale watatusaidia kupata job employment opportunities za vijana, si ndio? Tunataka watu wapatiwe makazi, kazi ndivyo waache kushiriki kwa hii mambo ya kukunywa pombe na uharibifu.
A Kenyan citizen has gone to court to block directive by Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC requiring those seeking for elective positions to possess degree certificates. Gloria Oroba, a youth and policy expert, wants the requirement declared discriminatory and elitist. She further alleges the move will not only bar youth from contesting any elective position, but also marginalize people with leadership qualities who cannot afford university education.
Are we saying to our youth that we are pushing them to go to the TVET sector, and yet we are saying in the same spirit that now the youth then cannot run for elective positions? Leadership in the National Assembly or in the Senate or in the county assemblies cannot and should not be limited to paperwork or to accreditations such as the degree.
This is the high time the government looked at its population, and the biggest population in this country is youths. So we must be able to come up with ways of addressing the concerns of the youth.
Angorom ward in Busia County is seeking the intervention of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, to investigate the death of their kin under unclear circumstances. The family says their 1.5-year-old son went missing on Tuesday last week, only for his lifeless body to be found dumped in a well. His father, Isaac Emong, said the incident came amid concerns over the motive of the murder. They now want thorough investigations to be done and those involved arrested.
Mechokora kwanza kwa muda mrefu sana. Wednesday wenye waliinua tu hivi ni miti ya kwanza ya pili alipata mtoto.
Ilikuwa tufanye hiyo postmortem tujue kifo ya mtoto nani anahusika nayo, yani imetokana na nani, lakini sasa uwezo ndio sina. Ningekuwa na pesa yenye naweza fanya naye, ningefanya tu nijue ukweli.
The government has kicked off a 7-day nationwide sensitization campaign on the COVID-19 pandemic. State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunication Principal Secretary Esther Koimet says the campaign, scheduled to run from 21st to 27th of June 2021, is aimed to increase awareness of the new developments regarding the COVID-19 mutations and further sensitize the public on the vaccination exercise.
As the country continues to battle with the third wave of COVID-19 pandemic, the government has moved in to scale up sensitization against the deadly virus.
The campaign starts today, June 21st, 2021, and will end on June 27th, 2021, across the counties, running from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
While launching the second phase of COVID-19 containment sensitization campaign at Uhuru Park in Nairobi, Principal Secretary in charge of State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunication Esther Koimet said the campaign aims to educate members of the public on the importance of strictly observing the prevention protocols.
In this second round of sensitization campaign, the government aims to, one, increase the awareness on the new developments regarding the disease mutation. Number two is to sensitize the people on the COVID-19 vaccination exercise right from the counties level, with a view to encouraging them to embrace the jab and be vaccinated.
County information officers, as well as regional and county national government administrative officers, are required to spearhead the campaigns in their respective regions.
Let me remind all Kenyans that COVID-19 is real. And as the country fights the third wave, we must come together as a society to keep this disease at bay in order to avoid a fourth wave.
Mine is to ask you that we must continue to work together, to deepen that collaboration, to extend that collaboration for the betterment of our people.
Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
The Kenya Classification Board has raised concern over the increase in online infringements of copyrighted material. Kenya Classification Board CEO Ezekiel Mutua says subsequently a new law has been put in place to protect creatives from piracy.
Speaking at the launch of Njoki Karuoya Creative and Media Center in Gilgil Sub-County in Nakuru County, the Kenya Film Classification Board CEO said online infringement of copyrighted material has increased due to lack of awareness on the matter. He encouraged Kenyans to protect homegrown talent by shunning from infringement.
Awareness is needed, so that the public can know that when you pirate or you do copyright infringement, you are a thief like another thief. Yeah. That intellectual property is actually a property. That is ideas and thinking and is art and expressions, whether in form of what we have seen or in form of music or film, is something that needs to be protected.
Mutua added that the Ministry of Information Communication Technology has mandated local broadcasters to ensure at least 40% of their content is homemade. The CEO decried that the country's film, music and performing arts sector remains largely untapped despite its huge potential for employment creation.
History out there and our stories are being told by others about us the way they want to tell it and the way they see it. Our own expression, we can depict the best values that we have in our culture and our humanity.
Former Naivasha MP John called on Kenyan youth to leverage on emerging opportunities such as social media platforms to expand the local film sector.
You're watching Channel 1 Lunchtime News. We do appreciate your company. We're also live on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Acknowledgements. Chris Msane, you're saying you're watching KBC Channel 1 from Kisii. Elfas Diego, you're saying you're watching from Likoni. Afande Chappelle, you're saying you're watching from Malaba border, that is in Teso North. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Bwana Motiso, pikipiki yako ndio hii. Uko shwani yangu. Hii pikipiki ni unakumbuka uliekelea the lowest unique bid yako ilikuwa ngapi? 18 shillings. Na unajua kuendesha hii gari? Kidogo. Haya, kitoko yako shika helmet, kifungu yako chomoka na mali yako.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Banki imeconfirm pesa zimeingia. Congratulations Sam, gari ni lako sasa.
Shukran. Oi boss, suniache insurance yako nitumie kabla nijipange.
We!
Insurance ya gari haiwezi kuwa transferred kwa mtu mwingine. Sina habari na nikuulize, hii comprehensive insurance inakava vitu gani?
Comprehensive motor insurance inakava gari linapoharibika wakati wa ajali pamoja na uharibifu wa mali ya mtu mwingine, gari likiibiwa au likichomeka. Pia inakava passenger wa gari lako na passenger wa lile gari lingine kunapotokea ajali.
Kwani umenisahau mimi kama driver?
Dereva hakui covered na comprehensive insurance, ila anajitafutia personal accident cover.
Umenichanua. Rose, acha nishughulikie hiyo insurance, nitakujia gari kesho.
Okay, sawa.
Yeah.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na IRA. IRA, bima bora kwa taifa.
Malaria ni ugonjwa hatari sana unaoua watu wengi hapa Kenya. Japo kuko na corona, hatari ya malaria bado iko. Mtoto huyu alikuwa na joto jingi, kutetemeka, kuumwa na viungo na uchovu. Alikimbizwa hospitali ya umma ambako sheria za COVID-19 huzingatiwa na ni salama kwa shughuli ya upimaji. Vipimo vilionyesha kuwa ana malaria na papo hapo daktari akampa dawa za malaria na kumshauri azimalize, na ili kujikinga wawe wakilala ndani ya neti iliyotibiwa. Malaria husambazwa na mbu. Walio hatarini ni watoto wa chini ya miaka 5 na akina mama wajawazito. Kupimwa na kutibiwa ni bure katika hospitali zote za umma. Usisahau adui malaria. Zero malaria huanza na mimi. Chukua jukumu leo. Komesha malaria. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na Wizara ya Afya.
Welcome back. As the political landscape in the country takes shape ahead of the 2022 general election, a new political realignment in Kilifi County has raised eyebrows. Politicians supporting Deputy President William Ruto and those supporting ODM leader Raila Odinga are pulling in one direction as others disintegrate.
It was during the official handing over of a state-of-the-art administrative block at St. Thomas Girls High School in Kilifi Town that the Kilifi North MP Owen Baya for the first time publicly declared that he will not join the race to succeed Governor Amason Jeffwa Kingi. Instead, the MP, who is a staunch supporter of the DP in the latest indication, vowed to support Kilifi County Speaker Jimmy Kahindi for governor against another Ruto supporter Aisha Jumwa.
Who will fight? Kwani yuko Minister of Education hakuna pesa, siko? Si infrastructure fund iko? Wengine kama hakuna mtu pale bunge kupigania ile pesa. That's why strategically nimesema we need to have somebody pale national government ambaye atapigania resources za hapa. And the National Assembly is the budget making house.
2022 I will not run for speaker. But I'm going for the bigger seat. For some reasons which when the journey hits up, hawa wazazi wenu tutawatembelea na tutawaeleza ni kwa nini Kahindi anatafuta kusimama kama governor wa Kilifi.
The Kilifi North MP, who has invested heavily in education, particularly for the girl child, said he would like the DP to appoint him as the running mate because he qualifies for the position due to his high level of education.
As Deputy President. Ama kwani wale wengine ni nini wako nacho na mimi sina? Kama ni elimu mimi nimesoma, ama vipi? Kama ni ubunge mimi pia. Kama ni Kilifi we have over 700,000 votes. Si tukipeleka huko haitoshi.
Prominent lawyer George Kithi, who is eyeing the Kilifi County Senate seat, said it was time Kilifi formed for the better, and that will be made possible through education.
It is not just about the power to get in there. No, it is because our girls need to be guided. These girls are not C materials. These girls are not D materials. They are A materials. They have the brains, they are shining, and they are being loved by God.
This as Ganze Member of Parliament Teddy Mwambire called for an increase in the national revenue allocation to the National Government Constituency Development Fund in order to enable constituencies to carry out more developments.
Lakini kwa sasa vile sheria iko vibaya, hatuwezi tukaongeza kwa wakati huu. Kwa hivyo iwapo kwa kupendelea kwamba BBI iendelee, basi hapo tutakuwa tumepata nafasi nzuri kama wa Kenya kuhakikisha kwamba tunaongeza pesa za maendeleo ya eneo bunge ili tupate pesa nyingi zaidi ambazo zitatusaidia kuja katika maeneo yetu kuendeleza miradi mbalimbali.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
The Kenya National Union of Nurses has faulted the Salaries and Remuneration Commission for applying double stance on the issue of salary increment. KNUN Secretary General Seth Panyako accused SRC of awarding salary increment to MCAs while nurses have been agitating the same for years.
He served as the country's last vice president in the Moi era, as deputy prime minister during President Kibaki's first term, but out of government throughout President Uhuru Kenyatta's reign. Now, ahead of 2022 general election, his eyes are on the jackpot. What is his driving force? His guiding principle? His philosophy? Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi on The Perspective this Monday, only on KBC Prime Edition.
The world has lost half of its wild animals in the past 40 years, according to the World Wildlife Fund. At this rate, the remaining species may become extinct if nothing is done, and in good time.
The mountain bongo is critically endangered, and it's only found in Kenya, with less than 100 individuals existing in their natural habitat.
When we take care of the forest, we are taking care of their habitat, and we are also sustaining the community livelihoods that are achieved through the forest.
Join me, Purity Museo, this Monday and Tuesday at 9 p.m. as we explore how species unique to Kenya are fast disappearing and what efforts are in place to save the situation.
Thank you for staying with us. Our apologies for technical hitch before the commercial break. Now we get back to health concerns. The Kenya National Union of Nurses has faulted the Salaries and Remunerations Commission for applying double stance on the issue of salary increment. KNUN Secretary General Seth Panyako accused SRC of awarding salary increment to MCAs while nurses have been agitating the same for years.
We will also make official protest tomorrow to SRC, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, and other government agencies that are responsible for salaries and remuneration of public servants in Kenya, objecting to roadside political gimmick being orchestrated by SRC toward public servants. We will not be abanging back for SRC. Let SRC come and tell Kenyan people the role it has played to ensure that salaries and remuneration of this country is contained. It is so strange that today we are looking at a possible referendum which is going to increase the number of members of parliament. You are clearly expanding the amount of money that is going to go into maintaining these offices. They should have opposed the proposal to expand the executive. They should have opposed the proposal to increase members of parliament, and they should have gone to ensure that the lowest paid worker in this country is earning salary which you can describe as decent salary that affords someone a decent living.
The nurses are now suffering. Some of them who get infected by COVID-19 buy their own oxygen. We buy our own masks to protect ourselves because, one, the national government is not giving the counties money to purchase the PPEs, to purchase oxygen for patients.
Mandera County Children's Department is raising the alarm over increasing cases of girl child rights violations in the county. It has reported that in the recent past, more girls have been impregnated, raped, forced to undergo female genital mutilation, and married off. According to the Director of Children's Department, a total of 56 rape cases recorded in the last few months are currently before the courts, even as many go unreported.
The environment is becoming unsafe for most girls in the northeastern county of Mandera, with the Children's Department sounding a warning that the situation is dire.
Watoto wasichana 56 katika Mandera County sasa kesi yao inaendelea kotini. Ni jambo ambalo imeleta wasiwasi kubwa sana kwa washikadau wote wa watoto.
Cases of rape, outlawed cultural practices, teen pregnancies, and gender inequality threaten the bright future of the innocent girls in Mandera County.
Wakati hii ya corona, hii makambili ya corona, ya kwamba kesi ya kubaka wasichana imezidi na kesi ya wasichana kupata mimba pia imezidi.
According to the Children's Department, parents are partly to blame as they hinder efforts to curb the menace for fear of stigma.
Mtoto wa primary anakatiwa ID, anatolewa kwa register ya shule na anaoleka, hasa wale wa class 7, darasa la 7 na darasa la 8. Na mara nyingi hiyo consent ya kukatiwa ID inatoka kwa machifu. Sasa tungeomba zaidi idara ya elimu itusaidie.
What I want from you is reporting ya kwamba kuna kitu imetendeka. Basi mtu apelekwe kotini. Naomba machifu wangu ya kwamba tushike hiyo kitu kama I want to kuinua hii community yetu.
Recently, a 16-year-old girl who scored 325 marks in the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education was rescued from early marriage.
Badala ya baba na mama kuangaika kulete mtoto wao shule kuu ambayo anapeleka kwa form 4, basi inaanza iko mtu anaanza kunyemelea ili hii msichana waoe.
Residents thanked the Children's Department for moving swiftly to protect minors, saying they are working hard to eradicate harmful cultural practices.
Over 12,000 patients who go for treatment at Kiandutu Level 3 Hospital in Thika, Kiambu County have a reason to smile after well-wishers set up a new laboratory ending years of trekking in search of health services that are very key to the society. The facility that is located inside the sprawling slum of Kiandutu has been operating without a modern laboratory, forcing patients to be referred to Thika Level 5 Hospital, which is kilometers away. According to Patrick Munywa, who is the head of the facility, expansion of the facility, including establishment of an ideal maternity wing, will help patients, most of whom survive on hand-to-mouth incomes, get better treatment. The new facility, according to the administrator, will further reduce congestion at the facility.
Offering all the services for level 3. That's the treatment and also the maternity services. But we would like it to expand more. We have an ideal maternity to be able to provide more clients, to be able to receive more services, more clients here. And also many clients will be able to come here for the other services which they may require.
Across the borders, Ethiopians are voting in key elections amid rising tensions and a bloody conflict in the northern Tigray region. The COVID-19 pandemic delayed polls in Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's first electoral test since coming to power in 2018.
Ethiopia is holding national and regional parliamentary elections, which Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said will be the country's first free and fair polls after decades of repressive rule. The general election, the first since 2015, was originally slated for August 2020 but was rescheduled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Abiy hopes to secure a popular mandate by winning a majority of the federal parliament's 547 seats. But the vote has been postponed in Tigray, where the army has been fighting a regional force since November. Voting has also been delayed in about a fifth of the countries because of the security concerns and logistical problems. Elsewhere, early results indicate both President Emmanuel Macron and his opponent Marine Le Pen will fail to make the gains they were hoping for in the first round of regional elections in France. Macron's centrist party is projected to gain more than 10% of the vote, just enough to take part in the second round next week, while Le Pen's National Rally Party was expected to top the first round of the polling and win at least one region for the first time, but instead it is now predicted to become second. Le Pen is not running as a candidate but has been leading the campaign. And Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has claimed an early victory in a snap parliamentary elections. Preliminary results suggest that Pashinyan's Civil Contract Party was in the lead with 58% of the votes. But the opposition alliance led by his main rival, former President Robert Kocharyan, alleges election fraud. The vote was called in the wake of Armenia's defeat in a conflict with Azerbaijan over the territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. Armenia lost swathes of territory in the war, which lasted for 6 weeks last year and cost thousands of lives.
Time for Channel 1 Business News. And coffee producers say the 3 billion shillings cherry revolving fund is not enough to adequately finance coffee activities and are requesting for an additional 2 billion shillings. The Kenya Coffee Producers Association is pushing for an amendment of the coffee laws to allow millers and marketing agents to also lend farmers.
After 8 coffee factories were on the verge of being auctioned because of a 163 million shillings debt, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya issued a directive stopping millers and marketing agents from advancing loans to farmers. Munya instead directed farmers to borrow from the 3 billion shillings coffee cherry fund. However, the Kenya Coffee Producers Association says the directive, which is now anchored in the Coffee Bill 2021, is not sustainable as it denies farmers their right to choose their preferred financiers, and the 3 billion shillings fund is not enough.
At the current national coffee production, averaging 40 metric tons, a minimum of 5.6 billion is needed if farmers are advanced at 20 shillings per kilogram of cherry.
The producers are calling for the suspension of the Capital Markets Regulation 2020, saying the Capital Markets Authority has no structure to support coffee trading.
With the experience that we had with them the last year, that is 2020, they seem not to have been prepared, not to even understand the coffee business, and comparing the coffee business with the shares that are normally traded.
The farmers want representatives at the Coffee Research Foundation, Coffee Board of Kenya, and the Nairobi Coffee Exchange be elected by farmers. The farmers are calling for harmonization of the 2 coffee bills at the National Assembly and the Senate, and stakeholders consulted in drafting a comprehensive coffee bill that benefits farmers. Benson Duoba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Thank you, Rioba, for that report.